Welcome to another episode of Green's Gridiron Exchange. We are back, man. Week two, heading into week three of the playoffs. Some teams didn't make it, but others did. Two will advance. Everybody else is going home. What's going on, fellas? Welcome in Andy V and my boy Royce Willer from PHMG. What's going on with you guys tonight?
Nothing much, man. We down to the last, so it shouldn't be too long of a show. Got just a couple teams to talk about, man. I'm excited, man. Who would have thought Bogie be here on Thanksgiving? So, a definite welcome surprise. How about you, Andy? Where were you Friday?
Oh, geez, where was I? I was over in Ocala, Lake Wales at Ocala, Vanguard. The game didn't kick off till about 9:30 because of stadium light issues going on over there. So, yeah, had to wait a couple hours. Got to see what was going on around the state. Saw the scores. But hey, I'm not surprised by Bogey because I picked him. You guys picked him. We all picked him. So
Yeah,
I
you
just felt like
definitely.
that was going to happen. I think it's going to be a heck of a game. We're going to talk about it when they play Sarasota Booker. I think that's going to be real entertaining. And who would have predicted Boca Ciega with a shot to go to the state semifinals? I mean, the boys from Gulfport really playing some good football under Coach Kelvin Schmart there.
Definitely. Yeah, we didn't. It was tough to keep him in the top 10 all season. So to see them here in the third round shooting a donut to Jefferson, and it made sense. Jefferson didn't play any tough teams. They hadn't really played a tough schedule, and we talked about that. So I'm glad that we were able to point that out. That St. Pete game, even that one, I did not expect that. That donut, that was unexpected. What was it? I think 33-0.
33 no, yeah, 33 nothing.
Yeah, that was unexpected doing that, but hats off to those guys. What about you, Green? How was it over there at the Lakewood game? What did you see?
From the game standpoint, it was one of those games where, of course, Lakewood had to not only be better than them, but had to be, clicking on all cylinders because when you're in that type of environment, you're not just playing against the team, you're playing against the environment. If you guys can read between the lines, um,
Yeah,
pretty
yeah,
much pretty even, I thought for the most part. The score really don't indicate how close the game was. There was a lot of back and forth as far as both teams played good defense and both teams had trouble moving the ball on each other. It was penalties that kind of gave the advantage to one team in other situations. But the ending of the game, now that was a different story. I don't know if some of you guys seen the post that I put. I know I tagged Andy in it, but just hadn't been haven't seen, let's just say, a Catholic school do some of the things that was going on Saturday. I mean, on Friday night. If Andy, I think Andy, have you ever been down to Bishop Row?
A couple times.
Okay, so you're familiar with where the parents sit in the end zones.
Um, Not really.
So there's a section where, okay, so you have the field, you have the track, and then right behind the track on the side where the big jumbotron is, the big colorful one is, right in that patchy area of grass, the parents sit there. So there was a lot of let's just say uh, a lot of demeaning words that were said to the players. A lot of things that was um, um trying to be correct on the show, but just a lot of things that if it was your kid, you would have probably went to bat for them. And as the game was ending, that kind of antagonized and pushed the Lakewood kids to kind of start wanting to get a little more chippy as the game was going on. And when the time came for the line for them to clap hands, and that's when it really got out of hand. And it calls for parents to spill out on the field, coaches to spill out on the field. Um, what I don't understand is how beer was able to get to be thrown in parents' face from Lakewood, that parents were able to bring into the game. And I'm saying, I didn't even think alcohol was allowed on high school campuses. But obviously that wasn't the case. Obviously, there are some things that maybe private schools allow that that public schools don't. And it was just using your term, Andy, it was a melee. I mean, people came out of the stands. There were punches thrown. There was just it's really disheartening to see how it ended for not only Lakewood, but knowing that it was parents of the Bishop Verreau school that didn't help the situation. I'm not going to say that both sides were wrong, but I will say that a majority of a lot of the issues came from a lot of what the parents were saying, and then parents that had nothing to do with getting splashed with alcohol. So, it was just unfortunate. And given their history with being, accused of having racial slurs being thrown around before, it's not hard to see and say that it wasn't true when it was heard. And then, there was people there to verify. So there will be hopefully some repercussions and some things that comes from that. And, again, it's just when you start taking it away from the kids, and now it starts to become about the parents, and just it just puts a black eye on the sport of high school football. So long ride home, of course, but that was the biggest thing that stood out to me after the game, and how everything ended.
Definitely, I can understand that. And yeah, just a week before, you know, the reports about the racial slurs and everything, it's obvious something's going on at Bishop Verreau. I'm pretty sure there'll be some things that'll be investigated, some things that'll have to be, so it's things that have to be changed. But you know, for now, we gotta, we'll give, we're gonna give the players their just due, and salute those guys for their win. Parents, we know how those parents can be. We've been dealing with this for about 3, 4 years. We know parents, man, they could just be, they could definitely be a handful, but it's all about the players at the end of the day. So it was a good game. Shout out to Bishop Verreau for their win, and hats off to Lakewood for playing hard and finishing the game strong. And before we got a special guest coming on tonight. So before we do that, last week we didn't get the opportunity to finish up our second team for our Pinellas County all county teams. So just wanted to go over that real quick before we bring our players on real quick. See how you guys felt about that. Leading that was we got some Bogie guys, and we got our senior quarterback Dylan Nara, along with Kevin Davis here, and first team wide receiver Walter Flanoy leading the charge. And of course we have Anthony Harris out of Largo, who we got to see in the first round. And of course, like I say, me and Green, we've been watching him for the last 3 years. I think he's starting to really get on a lot of people's radar on top of colleges. Mr. Tayshawn Bell out of Lakewood. Is he a senior, Green?
Yes, Tayshawn Bell is a senior.
Tayshawn Bell is a senior. Then we got, of course, Mr. Austin Ho, Mr. K Nobles out of P Park, the speedster. And then we got some offensive linemen out of Hollins, Big DeJuan Davis of CCC, a couple guys out of St. Pete, and Mr. Shoemaker Burke out of P Park. What you guys think about this offense? Is there any guys you would add? Any guys you would replace?
Hey, well, like you said, I definitely still hearing it from certain people, and actually spoke with a parent on Friday at the game about her son not being on the list of any of us. I did have her son on my second team, but it's really, when you look at these players, and there's so many players that's deserving of being on these lists, and whether you go, one way or another, someone's going to be unhappy. And my idea was to try to give more of the seniors that was deserving to be on there the first look, because number one, is their last year. Most of those guys have put in 4 years of hard work, and the juniors have another year to prove themselves to get even better than where they are right now, and solidify themselves to be the top at their positions coming into next year. But as far as this list goes, man, you can't argue with the names that's on here, because in certain positions it's splitting hairs. Austin Ho could easily have been a first team guy. Caden Nobles, I had him first team. You have him second team. It could have went either way. Tayshawn Bell, Anthony Harris, Dylan Nara, I had him first team, just because of the job that he's done. He has his team in the third round, and the sky's the limit for Bogie. It will be a tough game, but let's just say he wins that game. He leads the county in total touchdowns as a quarterback. And from the last 3 years to where he is now, it's light years. He's light years better than where he was. So those were some of the things that I looked into when I was selecting my team. But by no means does this second team say that they're not worthy of being first team guys. So again, hats off to all the young men who made first and second team, whether it was from PHMG, whether it was from mine, or all the other outlets that have them. Again, congratulations to you guys, because you represent our county, and you guys prove that you guys are the best around in the area.
What about you, Andy? What you think about this list?
Yeah, some guys obviously tough to have them second team just because of things they did during the season. I mean, Nora, obviously, having a spectacular season now, leading the Pirates to the third round. Harris, I got to see him on that Saturday against Palmetto. I mean, electric player. Austin Ho just he was the player of the year for his own team. So to me, if you hold him in high regard, if you could have a third receiver, I'm sure he would be the third guy, just because of what he's done. Caden Nobles had a nice season for Pinellas Park, and then the offensive line is a stout unit. But I mean, to me, the three guys, it's kind of like maybe you wish you had you could have a first team backup quarterback, or you wish you could have another guy like Harris and Ho on that list. But those are the three names that stand out to me that probably could have made some pretty strong arguments to be a first team. But maybe if there was added positions, like if you could have another one at their position, they could they'd have to be the next guy up, in my opinion.
Definitely. So we got our guy, Mr. Dylan Nara, waiting for us, man, in the back. So we're gonna go ahead and add him on. Can you hear us, Dylan?
Yes, sir. I can hear you guys.
Hey, what's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are y'all?
We're doing great, man. We're doing great, man. Thanks for joining us tonight, man. So just wanted to bring you in. First off, say congratulations for how you're doing things over there at Bogie, the transition, man. We just want to say once again, congratulations, because we understand that it's not an easy thing to do, to just come into a program first year and just change everything around like you guys have done. So want to send the hats off to you for that. And just a couple questions on my end. First off, what brought you to Bogie?
So what brought me to Bogie is that I just knew that they had some talent over there the year before. I mean, like y'all have been saying, Walt is just he's a very good athlete, and I knew that I could do something with that over there. And there was just a lot of talent that I saw, and I saw potential in the team, and I felt like that was a good place for me to go. And so far, it's been working out pretty good.
Yes, sir. Definitely. With Coach Smart, was he there when you first decided to go to Bogie? Was Coach Smart already hired, or was it still Coach Dillard?
No, sir. It was Coach Dillard. But
It was still Coach.
yeah, it was Coach
Okay.
Dillard.
Okay, when Coach Smart came in, what was his message to you guys? I know he said that it was, he wanted you guys to be practicing on Thanksgiving. What was his message to you guys outside of that?
Um, our message is every day we just control the controllables and just leave no doubt on the field. All 4 quarters, he always tells us that, and we've been sticking to that the whole playoffs, and we've been playing some good football recently, getting it together as a team.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, man. How have you felt have you felt like over the season, like just like different levels as far as you guys playing? Like how has the
Oh yeah, for
transition
sure,
felt throughout
for
the
sure.
season? How has it felt?
Yeah, so the first 3 games of the year, offensive. So Coach Smart, he came in, and it takes some time to get offense going. As like, especially when you got all these transfer guys, and we got to build chemistry and stuff. So the first 3 games offensively, we were struggling. But after the bye week, we just started to like gel together, and um, we've been we've been starting to we're just bringing it together as of now, and the defense is doing very well too. But yeah, as the season's progressed, we've just gotten more and more as a brotherhood and as a team, and yeah, it's just how it's been going so far.
All right, cool, cool, cool. I'm gonna pass it over to Green, man. What you got for me, Green?
Hourly Amazon
Yeah.
employees earn an average.
So just real quick, man, I I always brag on you because I got an opportunity to see you on the bus tour, man, and I got a chance to interview you a couple of camps, and
Yes,
I've
sir. Yes, sir.
been able to see uh every day what others didn't see. But I will want to speak to this because both me and Royce was able to witness this after that spring game. You had four interceptions. I know everything was still new. You were still trying to get adjusted to, maybe running a new offense and stuff, things like that. What was the mindset coming into the season from the spring, seeing how you guys look from the spring, knowing that, man, everybody thinks that we're this, but I know for sure that we're this. What was your mindset coming out of spring going into the year?
Oh yeah. So yeah, the spring game was terrible, and I got a lot of backlash for that, but I knew deep down inside, I know what kind of football player I am, and I just kept putting in work, grinding every day. Didn't miss a single day of summer workouts, and neither did the team. And we put our heads down and we worked, and I just knew that. I mean, I was just making dumb reads in the spring game and hurting myself, but um, I just knew that's just not the kind of player I am, and all the backlash I got from it, I just used it and added it as fuel to the fire, and put it towards the season.
Absolutely, absolutely. As far as the offense that you guys run, what do you think makes the offense really go outside of yourself and the athletes? Is it more the play calling, or is it that they give you kind of the liberty to make your own decisions within the offense? What do you think that has this offense so high powered?
I'd say it all. Me and Coach Smart have a great connection when it comes to just like being on the same page on like what plays we should call at this certain time, and he gives me a pretty free leisure on if I see something where I can check to this and check to that, and he also calls great plays too. So yeah, we have a pretty good connection, like just knowing when to call the right plays, and if it's not there, check to something else.
Gotcha, gotcha. I'm gonna put you on the spot. A few more questions, but I'm pretty sure because you guys have played Booker in the regular season, correct?
Yes, sir.
What is it, and what do you see on film that you feel it's going to take to beat a team the caliber of Booker?
We're just gonna have to come in and just battle adversity, because adversity is gonna strike, but we just can't get down on ourselves whenever it does. And I just, I feel as a team, we didn't prepare well that week, and we left a lot on the table that like mental mistakes. So we know like that just can't happen, and we can fix that very easily. And I just think like I know we can play with them. Our whole team knows that. And coming in this week, we're ready. We're ready to dominate and we're ready to win. That's our mindset. We definitely can do it for sure.
Absolutely. And last question, and more of a statement, and I'll pass it to Andy. Has it really set in like what you guys are accomplishing? Like, I know you guys are in the moment, but do you realize like the history that you guys are like that's before you guys, especially if you win this game, but just from what you've done, like 30 total touchdowns, 2,200 yards, and could put more up, and just looking back, did you ever think that you'll be at this moment at this time?
You know what? Before the season started, I wrote down on my I had a little journal. I wrote down goals I wanted for the upcoming season, and I've set them very high, and I'm starting to catch up to them. So hopefully, I can surpass them. But I'm always hungry to get more, and that's just I'm trying to surpass and beat the record from last game, and just keep going. That's about it.
Gotcha. Andy, it's on you, brother.
Hey, how's it going, Dylan?
How you doing?
Oh, just busy.
Yes,
Oh,
sir.
you guys heading into this region final here. 51.6 points per game in the last three. What has been kind of the special elixir to this offense really clicking at this time?
We've just been we've had the mindset that like we feel that nobody can guard us, and then up front nobody can. I feel like the big guys are starting to realize that we can just dominate whoever steps in front of us as long as we do our jobs, and that's just been the mindset. We feel like as a team, especially on the perimeter, that nobody can guard us at all, and we take shots at everybody, and that's been our mindset the whole season, or at least as of recent at the end.
For somebody like me, just looking at everything on like the state level, just if you had to kind of create that argument, like why things will be different from that first Booker meeting to now, what would be kind of your argument why this team can really be able to not only go into Booker and be more competitive, but to come out a winner and move on to the state semis?
I just feel like we just got to finish drives. We were moving the ball pretty well in them, but we were within the 10-yard line, I think, twice, and we didn't punch it in on fourth down twice. So, and that's big momentum when it comes into the game. We can't let special teams touchdowns happen. There was and blocked punts. Like special teams was a big part of that game, and I just feel like we can come in, clean all that stuff up, and make this a good game, and a game that we can definitely win.
How cool is it to practice in the morning, knowing it's a couple days before Thanksgiving?
Oh yeah, practice in the morning. Hard to get up, but there's not too many people that are practicing during Thanksgiving break. So we're blessed to be practicing right now. We're taking advantage of every moment, and we're coming into practice locked in, ready to work. Is
Coach doing anything special on Thanksgiving Day for you guys? He sent me your guys' practice time, so I might pop in on Wednesday morning. Thanksgiving morning, but yeah, might be popping in. But are you guys doing anything special for Thanksgiving?
I'm not sure. Coach might have a surprise for us, but he hasn't said anything. But we'll see. He's a man of surprises. I'll tell you that.
All right. Well, hey, you never know. Might have some breakfast for you guys all ready to go, or something.
That would be great.
Where you guys take that ride down I-75 to Tornado Alley. Last thing, Dylan, obviously Thanksgiving week here, and I'd say come up with a bunch of reasons or a bunch of things you're thankful for, but we'll just narrow it down to one. What's one thing you've been really thankful for this season?
I've just been thankful for my team and my brothers that I go to work with every day. They're definitely a big reason where I'm like how I've been producing this year, and I couldn't do it without them. So yeah, I definitely think I'm thankful for it.
All right. Well, good luck on Friday, and I may be seeing you on Wednesday morning.
All right, yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
See you later.
All right, see you guys.
Thanks, man. All right, man. That was Mr. Dylan Narr, man. Appreciate him coming on the show. Before we go ahead and talk about this second team defense real quick, and then just get into what we got left as far as what we have on the Friday night schedule. So on the second team defense, we have Mr. Let's see who we got leading that. Got Mr. Sloan out of St. Pete. Of course, Mr. Tyreek Harris out of CCC, a dominant junior who's getting a lot of attention. Mr. Nelson out of Bogie, a guy who transferred over from Seminole. Mr. Nordenbrook out of Keswick, a sophomore who is over 100 tackles for the second year in a row. Of course, Mr. Tunison out of Seminole, another sophomore as well. Mr. Collins out of St. Pete. Kevin Davis Bogie, Dylan X out of Osceola, Mr. Barry Williams out of Largo, Mr. Tank out of St. Pete, and Colin Savroni out of Seminole, who outside of Mason Stark, he pretty much did a lot of the same things that Mr. Stark did. So what do you guys think as far as this defense? Do you think is there anybody you think we're missing from the list?
Again, hard to argue with this list. Our list was similar on a few players, a few differences here and there. I think I did have a few Lakewood guys on my second team just because I got to watch them all year and got to see the caliber of guys that they had. But when you look at Kevin Davis, who's on that Bogie's team, who's taking them to the third round. When you look at Dylan X, who was just lights out for the Osceola Warriors. Barry Williams, I watched him play, and I think he had 2 picks against Lakewood. Christopher Tank, I'm sorry, and the list goes on. But these guys all were the studs for their teams, and all were just outstanding players. And I'm pretty sure that the awards and the accolades for these young men won't stop here on this second team, but it'll carry out onto the next level where they go, and so on and so forth. So can't argue on my behalf on this second team.
What you think, any guys you would probably want to add on there?
No, I like the list overall. Really touching on a lot of areas. Really like South Pinellas. You could see very much exclusive on this list when you see the St. Pete guys, Bogie, Largo, Keswick, Seminole. Yeah, impressive list. Got to see, Mr. Williams of Largo against Palmetto. He did a nice job, even though Palmetto was very much more of a run team, run heavy. But Pinellas, I think, featured a lot of guys that showed out on the defensive side. And I'm sure you guys be able to create a third team, with all the talent that's out there on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, because it was one guy that I did have on my second team that I don't know how he slipped and went under the rug. It may have been because of the team that he was on in their record. But Mr. Williams out of Northeast, I had him, Keontae Williams. He was by far one of the better players in the county, in the area, and we didn't have him or didn't speak much about him. But he's the type of kid that can play anywhere on the field. He played running back, linebacker. If I'm not mistaken, he led the county last year at the linebacker spot for interceptions. He can play the free safety. And that's where he may be at the next level. He was a kid that I had on my second team, as well as Lionel Wilson, a D lineman out of Lakewood, who I want to say he led the team in sacks, but his name you heard a lot this season in the backfield for the Lakewood Spartans. So just 2 names right there that I would have added, or just like Andy said, if there was a third team or if we could have created some more positions. Keontae Williams out of Northeast, Lionel Wilson, defensive lineman out of Lakewood, and also, of course, Damari Green, safety out of Lakewood, could have been on any one of those teams. Those guys were selected for the Pinellas County All-Star game. And then also, of course, they were selected for the Howard Franklin Bowl as well. So just a couple of guys, couple of kids that young men that could have been on any one of those teams that I did have on my second team that wasn't on your list at all. So
All right, cool. So I'm gonna go into the few games that we have. The first game up, we got Bogie at Sarasota Booker. I did some diving in on Booker. Have you guys seen Mr. Tyree Manning? I know you have, Andy. I know you've seen him. Got to have seen him.
I've actually ran into him and met him by accident at USF camp. So it was a kid out there who was just killing. And I'm like, man, it was him and another young man. I forgot his name, but I was like, what school are you guys from? And he said, Booker. And I automatically thought of Booker T. Washington down in Miami. And he was like, I said, so, you guys drove all the way up from Miami? And he was like, no, we're from Booker in Sarasota. And I was like, oh, man. But just to, once he told me his name, and I immediately went to, Twitter to look him up and start following him and the other young gentleman. I was like, man, once I started seeing the athletes that Booker had, I said, man, Sarasota has some studs down there. So I'm not surprised about their record at all. Knowing, going back and doing some research, Booker has been more of one of the powerhouses down in the Sarasota area. So running into those guys at the USF camp kind of put me up on Booker and the type of athletes that they have down there.
Yeah, before Eddie goes, if you guys have not got the chance to see Mr. Manning's, I just sent the message. You're gonna pull him up. He's a freshman, and this guy he's something serious. He's definitely something serious. About to pull him on the screen now. But like I say, he's a freshman. He is pretty much what Walter Flournoy was for Bogie. Kickoff returns. Most of his highlight tape is special teams or just handoffs or simple dump passes. And he came out with, over 1,000 yards all purpose. While we have on our bogus side, Mr. Flournoy, who is in the same boat, over 1,000 yards all purpose. So to me, this game, this game looks like it's going to come down to who wants it more. Who's going to get that ball and really get into the end zone more than anything. Of course, we know that Booker gave Bogie the business the first time. But what you think, Andy? Have you got to see Mr. Manning's play? What do you think about Booker, and what do you think about Bogie's chances?
Well, I'd say they got a lot outside of Mr. Manning. I mean, he's just one of, I'd say, a bevy of guys that they got over there. I know I'm really trying to look up because I see the running back that they Bogie played against. I'm looking at the name and I go, is that the DJ Johnson that played at Sarasota Riverview? And I'm just trying to figure that out because I'm looking at I believe that is. I don't see him on the roster for Riverview, and I see they got Isaiah Bell, which Sarasota Riverview had a nice tandem at running back last season. Both kids going over 1,000 yards with Isaiah Bell and DJ Johnson. Looks like DJ transferred to Sarasota Booker, which, if you guys didn't know, they were kind of, going through controversy before the season started. Their head coach, Scotty Littles, got suspended by the FHSAA for a few games because of, illegal recruiting. Not to really tie in that Johnson was recruited by any means, but just, Johnson being at Booker is definitely, that's a difference maker, I'd say, at the running back position. A really, nice talent when I got to see him last year when they played Clearwater Academy International. And then the quarterbacks, I mean, they don't just got one, they got two. I know against Bogie, it was Ryan Downs. Ryan Downs, I mean, he's been at multiple places on the South Suncoast. When I first saw him, he was at IMG on the national team. He actually played against Miami Central a couple of years ago. He had to come in because the quarterback start the game. He ended up getting hurt. It was like right after the first play. And what a time for the backup to have to go in against Miami Central. And, they ended up winning that game. The 2023 season, Ryan transferred to Venice. He was kind of in a dual role there at Venice for them, but he suffered a terrible injury, knee injury, that he ended up, having to have major reconstructive surgery. And, he's made it all the way back. He's playing, and looks like against Bogie, Mr. Downs threw for 354 yards and a few touchdowns. So, and then they got Joel Morris. He's another one, another quarterback for them. He's been playing really well this season, and he's somebody that's, I'd say, been at a couple other
Morris too?
What was that?
I said he hold Joel Morris as well.
Yep.
Both
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, and that's why I was like, you did your homework. I got my homework. I'm bringing. they got two quarterbacks. They ain't just got one. They got two. So they're one of those teams that you can see different signal caller. Every other series. We know Mr. Morris has been at Lake Gibson, Sumner. Now he's at Sarasota Booker. But yeah, I mean, they got a lot of playmakers on offense. You could just see these numbers. I mean, I know against Nature Coast last week, they looked like they kind of took the foot off the gas pedal. I think they probably could have put a few more on them. But this is a tough game to pick just because I think Bogie is, like Dylan said, I mean, I believe them. I think they're a better team than when they played them that first time around 48-12. I'm going to go with Sarasota Booker because they were here last year. They went on the state semis, ended up losing to Cocoa right before going on. Cocoa ended up winning the state title. But I do expect Bogie to play a lot better this time around. I just can't play that Pirates in the Caribbean music today. I just don't. It's hard for me to see them going in there, Tornado Alley, and winning. But, I mean, hey, crazier things have happened, but there's a lot to like about the Pirates right now heading down there. So I'm going to say I wouldn't be absolutely surprised if somebody said Boca Ciega went in there and won, because this isn't a game where you're like, it's insurmountable. There's no way they can't win. Like, I kind of felt like St. Pete, that was a little too much going down to Naples with the kind of talent they had. That game, I felt pretty comfortable Naples is going to win. This one, I'm saying Booker's going to win, but I'm not sitting back saying, hey, that's a, stamp it. That's happening. I'd take this one to the bank. I'd say, I don't know. We'll see. Boca Ciega, they might make the state semifinals. What a story. What a story that is.
Right. What about you, Green? Who you like?
Just looking at the talent that Booker has, it's going to come down to whichever team can make the least mistakes and which team is going to play sound fundamental ball. Like Andy just said, that both teams are talented, and normally in the college level they say it's the three phases: offense, defense, and special teams. So hopefully Bogie is clicking on all cylinders. Out of both teams that's left, everybody would probably say that Bogie would have the least chance, to advance. And so all the pressure is kind of on them to succeed and prove everybody wrong. It's always tough to go out on the road and continue to win. I hope they can pull the dub out, but I just think that Sarasota has a little more firepower and a little more momentum on their side just because it's down at their home, where they're playing at.
All right, yeah, man. Just to bring this up, last time, 6 sacks, 2 interceptions, one kickoff return, 354 yards pass. I mean, on every phase, Booker showed up. That's unless that's something they consistently do everything. That's hard to do. If Bogie can shut down, 2 of those phases, I like them in the game. If they could show up and play like they played again, like I said, if we could get them to play like they played against Lakewood in like the last 2 weeks, we could get that if we could get those type of performances. I like Bogie. I think it's going to be tough. I think it's going to come down to at least 4 to 5 points. This is a pick 'em for me, so I'm not even going to decide. But the next game we got, the second game we got is Lakeland Christian at CCC. Hutchinson and Newton closing in on 1,000-yard seasons. Mr. Kono, 12 carries, 131 at CDS. I got to watch some of that game. I cut it off real fast because it got real crazy real fast. Clarwood Day did not show up anything close to what I thought they would, and that just shows the power of CCC. I could say this, Kono, 12 carries, 131 yards. He's played already, like we said. Lakeland Christian, they just don't have enough. This is one of those teams where they're 10-1, but their schedule is weak. The team they beat last week, 5-6. Carrollwood Day beat them up pretty good. I just can't see them going in CCC, and even this being close. I believe this will be a first round blowout, just like the first round blowout with CCC. I love CC to pretty much demolish them. What you guys think?
Yeah, I don't know much about Lakeland Christian other than what you just kind of, spoke about. But I just know that to beat a team like Carrollwood Day the way CCC did last week, Lakeland Christian better be on high alert because you just don't beat a team like CDS the way CCC did last week if you're not for real. And so, don't let the record fool you. A 10-1 can be real deceiving, when you playing a 5-6 team. But I know that CCC has been battle tested, and I think that their schedule up until this point has prepared them for a team like Lakeland Christian. So I'm also going to ride with the Marauders of Clearwater.
Well, I'll tell you what computers think. Calpreps.com. You can project any matchup in the country. Just did Clearwater Central Catholic and Lakeland Christian. They got regular season and playoffs. Both scores 42-14. Who do you think they're in favor of?
CCC, I would think.
I think that tells you. I don't think it tells you at all. CCC, yeah, battle tested. Everything else, they're gonna go and they're gonna continue this collision course that we predicted. Everyone predicted. You could have been somebody who didn't even know that much about high school football, and you probably could have predicted that Clearwater Central Catholic and Chaminade are gonna meet one more time. I think the only thing that was gonna maybe impede on that was the First Academy, but they ended up getting booted out because of the forfeits and everything, so they didn't get to make any playoff run. And to me, that just opened the proverbial door to saying, hey, Clearwater Central Catholic, back to the state championships you go, and you're going to face Chaminade, because Chaminade, they've outscored their opponents 133-0. They're literally just sleepwalking through the playoffs. They will be well rested, well prepared, everything the time they see CCC. I think at least CCC's seen some competition that they've had to actually like prepare and, battle. I think Chaminade, it's been like to the point of, I mean, we could just throw our JV guys in here in the second half and this would be a done deal. So I'm actually trying to look up Booker, what they got Booker, and here we go. I wanted to give you guys the score of that one because I didn't do it. I wanted to see if I was far off or kind of close on my thoughts. Yeah, they make it a closer game. They got 40-27. So I mean that's closer than the regular season. I mean that was 48-12. So if they can narrow it to 13, I mean that's 2 possessions. That's where, and there's kind of room for error. So obviously Boca Ciega being a much better team at this point, the offense is gelling, like Dylan said. I'm much more excited about Boca Ciega Booker than I am CCC Lakeland Christian. Nothing against the Vikings of Polk County. They've had a nice season. It's going to end at Brian Thomas Stadium. If I'm wrong, I'll wear a Vikings head next week. But Bogie Booker, that's the game.
Definitely, man. Well,
quick, I actually went back and looked on Booker's schedule. 2 weeks in a row, they scored 80 points. They beat somebody 85-8, and then they beat Gibbs. I think it was like 83-0 or something like that. So just to kind of give some.
Gibbs.
Yeah, I mean, I know it was Gibbs, but to put up 80 points back to back says that you clicking on all cylinders. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
You clicking.
Like I said, they got 6 sacks and a kickoff return in that game. If you can dial those 2 things down right there, those will be 2 big difference makers right there.
Because Andy, what is it like at like 35? They start a running clock, like 28-0, 35-0. Or it just depends. You don't mute.
That's crazy. Yeah, they made 80 with a running clock. Yeah, that's big.
Yeah, so, they started in the second half. Sorry, I didn't even realize I was on mute. Yeah, they started in the second half. So really, I mean, it's kind of a race to how many points you're trying to score in the first half. Because in the first half, it's like, it's like the first Karate Kid movie. It's no mercy, sweep the leg. So I mean, yeah, I mean, if you could score like 60 or 70 points in the first half, that second half is going to go by real fast. I mean, that's 24 straight minutes. 2 water breaks is the only time they're going to stop the clock. And right. I mean, you might only have a shot to score like a couple touchdowns in the second half. So that's why they probably scored like 70 in the first half. That's kind of the recipe to scoring that many points because you ain't going to score 40 in the first and 40 in the second. There's not enough time.
That's why I'm like, they scored 80 points back to back means that the first half of those 2 games, they already had to have like at least 60 to 70 points going into halftime.
Yeah,
50, for sure. 50. Yeah, they must have just been. Yeah, they had to been walking in there with the 60, 70 point lead, and then the second half. Unless if you're just like pedal to the metal, you're up 50-0, and then the other team just had like every time they touched the ball, Charlie Brown in it, fumble in it, just something's going wrong, like nothing's going right. And they're just scoring touchdowns like it's going out of business. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think we'll have to worry about that with Bogie and Booker. But, yeah, I mean, it is hard to score 80. I mean, but I think on the other flip side, we could sit there and be like, really? Like, why? Why do you need to score 80 on Gibbs? Why do you need to score 80 on Base?
They kids, man. They ain't going to stop running.
No, I didn't tell them to stop playing, but there's ways to, like, pull back. You don't need to, like – there's just no need. There's nothing evidence-wise, like, in the rankings. There's nothing to say, oh, if you score 80, that'll help your position in the rankings. I mean, heck, there's teams that tried to place harder schedules because they thought that was going to help them get into the playoffs, and that didn't help them. It hurt them. They ended up not making the playoffs because they played a tougher schedule. So really, all it matters is you win. You can win 3-0 10 times. That would have helped you more than going 5-5 and playing a tough schedule. It's proven.
Yeah.
I understand, man. Well, hopefully, man. We gonna see no 8. We won't be seeing any 80 points scored against us.
No.
And we'll be talking next week, man, about 2 teams in the state championship possibly. So I appreciate you, fellas. I will talk to you guys soon. And
Yes, sir.
Have a great Thanksgiving.
out, man.
All right. You
too,
as
man.
well. All right.